so welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us again for our last webinar of the season, the benefits of working from browser only. So yes, the last webinar of the season, but that does not mean for the rest of the year, right? So we'll just be putting out a new schedule on our upcoming webinars for the rest of the year. This will be most probably around end July, begin August. So be pending for that. The interesting topic of today, I really love this topic because I am personally one that works from the browser, my email and everything. For me, it's easier, but I want to make sure that you guys also understand the benefits. And maybe if you have any concerns or anything that you would like to say that maybe you don't like or you would like to discuss or ask, you can also do this in the Q&A box that we have, and these will be answered at the end of our webinar. So for today, our agenda is really short and simple as always. So we have to welcome an introduction. We have the presentation of the webinar topic, which we have our speaker, Jasper Kraak, to do this for you today. And then we'll go on to our questions and answer round. We also have a very cool prize at the end of the webinar, but we will discuss this later. So not to take up any more time, I'll be passing the word over to Jasper.
So good morning, welcome. And this is really one of my big favorites for over 10 years, work from a browser. So this is not new. Maybe for you it is, for me it is not. So if you have been joining more of our webinars previously, you know me by now. I'm a solution architect at Innova Solutions. I'm a Microsoft evangelist. I have been working from home ever since I moved to Aruba. There is no office of Innova on Aruba. So I work from home or I travel. Well, not so much lately. We all know about that. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, and I take my exams, my certifications for breakfast. I'm a morning person, so when I schedule myself for an exam, it's usually around 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. in the morning, and then at 8 o'clock, hey, I'm done, and that's a good start of the day. So that's me. So let's move on to the topic of today. Before I start with that, my screen sharing, we are working from the browser. So I am presenting this PowerPoint presentation from PowerPoint Online. I practice what I preach. I created the whole presentation in PowerPoint Online, and I'm presenting it as well from PowerPoint Online. You can see that probably in the lower left corner. Well, not now, but look at the little icons that can appear every now and then. They are definitely different from presenting from PowerPoint as the desktop app. So we're talking about browsers. So we have a multitude of flavors in there. Hey, pick anyone you like. I don't care. I do care, but that's not the topic of today. And then we have to look at two perspectives in working from the browser. The first of all is of course the user experience. That is relevant, definitely. But I'm going to focus, I think, a little bit more on the perspective from the organization. Hey, we are a solution provider, so we work with customers, we work with IT departments. We don't specifically focus on end users. We do adoption programs and stuff like that, and this will require some adoption. But there is huge benefits for organizations as well in having your people work from the browser. So let's move on. I will start with some of the user perspectives. Of course, nowadays, and that's why it sits there already at the bottom of the screen. Working from a browser allows people to work from anywhere. It's an internet protocol. If you expose your applications over the internet in a browser, then hey, the location and even the device, it does not matter. So let's look a little bit at the user perspective, what their experience will be. So first of all, if if people work from a browser, it doesn't really matter which browser they use or from what device they are coming. The experience of the application that is running in that browser, it will be the same. On iOS, on Android, on Windows, on Linux, on Mac OS, it really doesn't matter. Of course, you have to consider they are the form factor of your device. It doesn't make sense to try to edit a huge Excel spreadsheet from your phone. That is what I mean with form factor. It just doesn't make sense. Will it work? Oh yes, it will work, but you need like huge spectacles for that and a very precise finger to work with huge Excel spreadsheets from a phone. So the form factor is decisive, of course, but in general, the experience will be the same. And a second point is that on each and every device that you buy nowadays, there is a decent browser installed on there by default. I mean, be it Safari, be it Chrome, be it Edge, it doesn't matter. There is a decent browser installed on the device, so there is nothing too difficult about that. Then what I think is relevant from the end user perspective, if you would open a huge spreadsheet or a huge Word document that sits in the cloud, hey, we're talking cloud. Yes, we're not talking local, we're talking cloud. If you open a huge spreadsheet that sits in your OneDrive or in SharePoint Online or in your Dropbox or whatever, if you open that in the browser, you are not downloading bits and bytes. The document stays where it is. And the only thing that goes across your network connection are your keystrokes and the screen you are getting back in the web page. So for performance, hey, that's a good thing, because downloading will take time, and then you do your editing in the document or in the spreadsheet or in your PowerPoint, and then you need to upload it again. That doesn't make sense. You know, if it's sitting there and you can work with it while it is sitting there in the cloud, that's good. Furthermore, and that's a bit technical, the protocol being used in working from the browser, that protocol was designed for internet connections, for the World Wide Web. Whereas the protocol where you retrieve a document or a spreadsheet from a file server, that is a SMB protocol, to be technical, and that was never designed to go over the internet. That is designed to go over local area connections in your office space or whatever, and then it works perfectly until, hey, you need to work from home, and try that. You have your VPN connection and you try to open your huge spreadsheet with your pivot tables from the file server sitting on premises, and then you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait. So that's not a good user experience. Then we have a couple of more benefits, I think. So your favorites in your browser, be it Edge or Chrome or whichever browser you prefer, your favorites or your favorite websites, you can sync them between devices. So at work, you open your work you open the web page, and then you go back home and you add that same web page into your favorites, and you're just one click away of opening the line of business application that you are working on. That also means that, hey, you can just close the Word document you have been working on on your office computer if you're working in the browser, and then at home you can open it again and you immediately are at the point where you left off. You don't need to open anything or whatever, you just open your browser, click on your favorite, and you immediately are where you were when you left your office 30 minutes ago or an hour ago. What I use a lot is in the same application. So we use, for example, CRM, or I use Azure a lot, and I just open multiple tabs in my browser. So you don't have to switch or whatever. I just click on a tab and I copy something, I switch to my other tab and I paste something in there again, or do a lookup, or see if what I clicked OK is actually working. So you in a legacy client server application, you would just have to go back and forth and back and forth. In a browser, you don't need to go back and forth. You can have multiple browser windows open or multiple tabs within one browser. I think that's a huge benefit. And then last, but I already mentioned that, hey, if it's exposed properly by your organization, you can work from anywhere. It doesn't really matter. Any device, any location, as long as you have an internet connection, you can connect. So to be a bit more specific, if we look at the Microsoft 365 apps, and this list is not complete, but I think these are the major ones. 90% of the features of the installed version of the Office suite are available in browser versions. I say 90%. Don't pin me on that. I know, for example, that in Outlook on the web, you actually have more features available than you have in Outlook installed on your PC. So take that. I know for Teams, for example, what we are doing right now, doing a live event in Teams, that would not work from the browser. So I'm running Teams as an app on my desktop right now. So there, it's a bit, but we're getting there. And then you have to realize, and that is maybe more for the organization than for users, the 10% that is not available are features that are not being used by users anyway. You know, I think when we look at Outlook, 80% of the users know 3 buttons, and I'm painting it a little black and white. Excuse me for that, but we all know the reply all, and the new button and the send button. That is how we use Outlook. And it's a great program, you know, it's really great. There's a lot of features in there, but hey, we don't use them anyway. We use reply all, we use to, and we use send. That is what we use. So why do you need a huge application for that? In the browser, you can accomplish exactly the same. Also, the features that are not available in the online versions, that just doesn't mean that they cannot open those files. It just means you cannot create certain features in the online version. You need the big version, the installed version of that, but you can consume the result in the cloud. So for people who have never seen that, I just made 2 very simple screenshots. One of them is Word on premises. That's in the upper left corner, and then in the lower right corner, I have a Word document opened in a browser. And as you can see in the bar with the menu options, they look a bit different, but hey, the features. Most of the features, they are just there. So don't worry about, hey, I cannot work like that. Yes, you can work like that. It's pretty, the switch is not that difficult. It's, you know, we're talking digital transformation, and if you have heard me before, digital transformation is just about losing old habits and creating new habits. So you will get used to it. This is a screenshot that I really like. So Teams is really like going off the charts. People are adopting Teams all over the world. And if you open Teams in in the browser, because hey, it will work in the browser just as well, except for some features again. But I like this example because this is in Teams, and this is actually a spreadsheet, an Excel file that is opened in Teams in the browser. And I can edit over here, I can work on it. So you don't have to leave that pane of glass that you are staring at. You don't need to download the spreadsheet, open it in Excel or whatever. You just hit the file and it will open within Teams, within the browser. I really think this is a very good example of this is where we are going. This is the way forward. Don't leave the app. Everything you need is right there. So now let's focus a little bit on the benefits for organizations. Again, Inova is a solution provider. We work with customers and we work with IT departments and business decision makers. So what is the benefit for the organization if you move to browser versions of your applications? So I unmuted for a second. I needed to cough. I don't want to do that in your ears. So let's go back to the experience for the organization. The 3 points that I mentioned here, nothing to install on devices and nothing to manage and maintain on devices and manage operating systems. Organizations spend really a lot of time on managing and maintaining their client PCs. Automation, in my perception, is not up to a level where that is adequately automated. So if you order like 15 new PCs for your organization, it will take each PC at least 3 hours to get up and running before you can take it to a user. And then of course you have to deal with patches and updates and upgrades, and oh, that user needs that application and that user needs that application. So hey, if you work from a browser, if you have your workforce working from a browser, you don't have to deal with all of that, because you just give them a browser and you give them the correct URL, the correct address to connect to, and put it in their favorites, and they are good to go. There is no management on local devices, and that is what I have been saying and preaching for over 10 years. Who needs an operating system? You just need a Chromebook with a decent browser, and you should be able to do your work like that. So let's go to the following 2 points. In this case, the no upload download of bits and bytes, for the user, it was in performance that it had a benefit. Over here, it has a benefit in security. It just means that the bits and bytes of the file, the Word document or the spreadsheet or whatever, the bits and the bytes stay in the cloud. They don't touch the device. Be it a bring your own device or a Galaxy or an iPad or whatever. If you work from the browser, the bits and the bytes of the actual document will never hit the local device. From a security perspective, that is a huge benefit, really a huge benefit. With things like, if we talk Microsoft 365, with things like conditional access, we can actually enforce that. You can say, hey, if you're coming from an untrusted device, you can open this document, but in the browser only. You are not allowed, you're not even allowed to download the bits and the bytes of the actual document. And then again, the protocol that is used to work from the browser, it was designed for the World Wide Web, for internet connections. And then we have some, and that's more maybe on the developer part or whatever. Web apps, so web applications are very easy to integrate with any authentication mechanism, be it Active Directory on premises, Azure Active Directory, or it's all gonna work very smoothly from the end user perspective. So only authenticated users can access your web applications. Another benefit is that they are very, very, very easy to scale. So we don't talk much about scale, but you know, you can save huge amounts of money if you scale your applications depending on the load. So we tend to keep our servers running 24/7. You know, like really 24/7. But who is working over the weekend? Do you need all the servers, application servers, and do they really need to be up and running full force 24/7? I don't think so. Web applications let themselves scale very easily. So you can just say, hey, by 6 a.m. in the morning, you should start scaling up a little bit. And then at 11 o'clock in the morning, you're at peak performance. And then starting around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you start scaling it down. And the cost calculation of that is pretty simple. Also on premises, that works on premises as well. Make the cost calculation on your energy bill and your air conditioning bill to keep your data center cool. So scalability is really, I think, something very relevant. Then web applications are for your developer team, they are pretty easy to customize. It's not like if you have a third-party vendor and a traditional client-server application, if you want to get some customizations in there, you have to contact the vendor and say, hey, I wanted this, and I wanted this, and I want this, and then they charge you, and then you have to test it, and then you're not satisfied, or your users are not satisfied. Web applications are pretty easy to customize. And then in this COVID-19 era, hey, they work from anywhere. So you can send your users back home if we are confronted with another lockdown, if that is going to happen. And even if it's not going to happen, I hope you all have the experience by now that, hey, there's nothing wrong with working from home. And you can make your applications accessible from anywhere. So I think those are huge benefits of working from home. So let's look at some very direct cost, like really direct cost. If we talk about Microsoft 365 and Office 365, my point is, should you deploy the Office suite for all of your users? Because the difference, if you look at the left column and the column next to that, the difference, $5 or $12.50, is $7.50 per user for being able to deploy Office. Where I stated previously in my presentation that 80% of your users will never use those advanced features that are available in the Office suite. So just, hey, think about that. Think about your direct cost in your licensing on, hey, how can I benefit from having my users work from a browser? I think this is a very tempting benefit. So look at our dear Johnny Depp. Hey, I think the gap between his fingers, you are in control. You should realize that it's not a fixed thing. You are in control on how big you want to have your savings. It means adoption. It means losing old habits and creating new habits. It means maybe redesigning some of your applications. I will go into that on my next slide. But this is the brutal truth of your direct cost if you're already on Microsoft 365. Why deploy Office Suite for all of your users? So let's look a little bit more from the organization perspective. The reason why we need desktops and desktop operating system is, hey, we have this, I call it legacy apps, like legacy, not modern. Modern apps, in my opinion, would be web apps or web-based apps, like you install on your phones and stuff like that. Everything is web-based. They have a nice interface and whatever, but it's not like you really install bits and bytes. It's just the surroundings. It's just the look and feel. So we have, in a lot of organizations, we have traditional client-server applications. So you have a server component, and you can only connect to that server component if you install bits and bytes, the client component, on each and every desktop that of the users that need to be able to manipulate that server application. Really traditional client-server apps. And then we have what we call Win32 apps. So Win32 apps, even Office is a Win32 app. Everything that you install with an MSI or Exafile or whatever, it's an installation. It does stuff in your registry, it does stuff in your profile, it's hard to get rid of. So that is a legacy app. Win32, even the name, we run 64-bit operating systems right now, and we still call it Win32 applications. So, So you cannot get rid of that immediately. I understand that. But in your vision or in your strategy, please get rid of the 90s and enter the 20s. And don't get me wrong, but I have been saying this for more than 10 years now. Everything should be a web app. The savings, the effectiveness, the efficiency is huge. And still I hear people, yeah, but we still have our legacy applications. Yeah, how long are you going to keep them? So get rid of the 90s, because client-server apps, Win32 apps, they are really out of the 90s. And we're entering the 20s. We started already for half a year in the 20s. So get there. And in the meantime, I have two suggestions. If you really want to move forward on this path, I have two suggestions. Create a web front end for your traditional client-server applications. Have some developers look at that. In my opinion, it shouldn't be too difficult to create a web front end sitting in front of your client-server application. That means that your users will just connect through the browser. They can do their thing, they can do their work, they can input and output and whatever. And in the back end, hey, the technology can do its job. Or you can go for the workaround, the temporary solution. Temporary, this is not the end goal, but hey, we have stuff like remote desktop and remote apps and VDI and Windows Virtual Desktop, where you silo those legacy and traditional client-server applications into shared servers, and you have your workforce work from the browser, except for that and that application, and you publish those applications through Citrix, Remote Desktop, Remote App, VDI, VM Horizon, you name it. But that is, in my opinion, a temporary workaround. That should never be your end goal, because these solutions are expensive and also pretty complex in managing. So you have your total cost of ownership sitting in there. But it can be an alternative in the meantime. Because staying on those legacy apps is staying on desktop deployments. So that just means for the next 5 or 10 years, if you're sticking to that, you just have to deal with the total cost of ownership of managing and maintaining all those desktop operating systems and patching and managing and deploying applications and stuff like that. So I really hope that I make my case that, hey, working from the browser has such huge benefits for IT, for the organization, cost-wise. Yeah, for me it's a no-brainer. Get away from your traditional client-server applications and your Win32 apps. Okay, so I'm gonna peek at the Q&A. So the first question I see there is the cost shown per user? Yeah, in that slide that I showed on the Microsoft 365 subscriptions, that was per user per month. So that was $5 per user per month for using the Microsoft 365 online services, or $12.50 per month for using the Microsoft online services plus install the Office applications on your local computer. Per user per month. Regardless, that is something to mention, regardless if they use it or not. So, hey, you can install, you can pay the $7.50 for a user to have Office installed and then have that user working from the browser. You still pay that. So it's really mix and mingle your licenses in a smart way, that you don't get the full suite for users that don't need it, and get the full suite for the 10-20% of your users that need the full suite. Then I see another question: can a file server be really replaced by SharePoint? I have a very short answer to that. Yes. Period. Yes, you don't need a file server. We eat our own dog food. As I said, this presentation comes from SharePoint Online. I can prove that after I finish the last slide. We moved ourselves. We had a webinar on that about a week ago on how Inova did their own transition to the cloud. We have no file servers. Everything sits in Microsoft 365, and we use Dynamics 365 as our CRM system, and that's it. We have no file servers. I'm a very happy IT admin. I have no file servers. I have no NTFS permissions. I have no share permissions. I manage everything through SharePoint. So who needs a file server? Remember, a file server origin is way back in the 90s. We're 2020. So yes, a file server can totally be replaced by SharePoint. Then I see, and is there a corporate cost like a bundle? I need a little bit more context on that question. Is there a corporate cost like a bundle? So in Microsoft 365, it's a user-based subscription. You pay per user per month, and it's very flexible. So if you fire 10 people on the first of a month, you just reduce your number of licenses. If you hire another 20 users the next month, you just add 20 licenses. So you pay for what you actually use. It's not like, oh, I think I need 100 licenses because I have 87 people working for me. No, if you have 87 people working for you, you need 87 licenses. And if you hire 2 more, then you need 89. And if you fire 4, then you need 85. So the principle of cloud computing is you pay for what you actually use. And through the portal.inovacorporation.com portals, through our customer portal, you can adjust the number of licenses on a daily basis. So you will be charged on a daily basis. You can do that anytime. That's an interesting question. How would you explain your users the difference between OneDrive and SharePoint? Well, to keep it very basically, OneDrive is what we called in the old days, in the old Windows XP days, OneDrive is your My Documents. It's your personal folder, your home drive, whatever words we have for that, you know, that is your stuff. And sure, out of that you can share or you cannot share or whatever, but it is your stuff. Whereas SharePoint, hey, we talked about the file server. SharePoint is the corporate environment where we do document management. We have the security policies in place and stuff like that. So that is a very, very black and white answer. I hope for now it is good enough. If you want to know more about that, please don't hesitate and contact us, and we can have a discussion on that. But I think OneDrive is My Documents, your desktop and documents and whatever you have in there, and SharePoint is more like the corporate, the organizational environment. So let's see if any more questions are coming in. If not, then I will give the microphone back to Sherma. Don't hesitate to put in any additional questions. I can always get back to you. So that is my thank you. Then, yes. Sherma, this is your thing, yes?
Yes, so we had an Inova browser challenge. It was basically where we asked everyone to share their experience with us in working in the browser. But for the winners of this, we have decided to change it up a bit, and it's going to go for those who attended this webinar. Your names will be put into how you say, like a raffle. You will receive a raffle seat, and we will choose a winner who will be known in the thank you email that you will receive later today, or and with the recording from this webinar. So then you can win free consultancy hours. So you guys will find out who won in just a bit in this afternoon. And moving on to the next slide. We also would like to invite you guys to follow us on our social media platforms. Why? This is not just to get followers, guys. This is really to keep you informed of what is going on. We have some very cool sessions, something like the one that you see below here, our online walk-in sessions for teens. This is a free hour where you can ask questions to our techies. Each week we have a different group and we have different tips prepared for you guys. So like these small little things that can help you guys to operate better using the tools that Microsoft provides. So I see no more questions is coming in. So I think Jasper was really, really clear. If you guys do have any questions, always feel free to send us an email at info@inovacorporation.com or visit our website. We also have a chat box there, so we can maybe help you guys get the proper help that you need or get the correct person to answer your questions. So I thank you guys for joining us today. We had a really good turnout. I hope you guys enjoyed the webinar. Stay tuned for our upcoming webinar sessions. Again, this will be posted end July, beginning August, so you guys can know what's to come in the other half of the year. So we're looking forward to meeting you guys sometime soon again, or at least virtually in this case, on one of our other sessions. And again, feel free to follow us, contact us if anything. So thank you for your time. Thank you, Jasper, for the amazing webinar once again.
Thank you, and I thank the audience for being with us for the last year, because I think we did some really great webinars over the last 10 months. So I'm really looking forward to continue that. I have one more point to make, because I said, hey, I'm presenting this from PowerPoint online. So let's look at the magic that I'm actually not running PowerPoint. end of slideshow. And by now you should see, hey, I'm just having PowerPoint right here in my browser. Just to prove that it is actually working, even in a live meeting or a live event, I am working from the browser.
Yes. Thank you for showing us this.
that was the final climax of the season. Browser only webinar. Keep that in mind for the summer.
Yes. So I hope this was something encouraging for you guys to maybe try working in the browser if you have not done this yet. Let us know your experience. We'll be happy to share any tips that you guys may that may be helpful for you guys, or answer any questions that you may have. Thanks again for your time. You were right on time, 11:40. So we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.